Well, the trials and tribulations of trying to get FPV working on my number 14 Lidl build lightweight, which was supposed to be my first attempt at FPV with a radio controlled plane as opposed to a drone. Not going very well actually. I've already done a couple of flight tests up at the field. Anybody remember this? First FPV test of my number 14. Didn't really go very well. And I can already see I've got breakup on the screen, which may be interference. Now the problem of interference is often caused by the fact that it's a dirty power supply, especially as I was using a Y lead. Anyway, so I came up with another idea, and that was to separate the power supply from the camera transmitter from the RC power, and that's this one here, which is the little E-Cheen combined transmitter camera, which was powered by a LiPo tucked just inside there, while the power battery for the plane was actually in here. So let's see how that turned out. Right folks, well here we are again. A bit breezy up at the strip though, best day in weeks, and tomorrow it's going to be blowing 45 knots. So it's today or nothing, and it's time for yet another FPV test with my Lidl number 14. Now last time I tried this, coincidentally that's my monitor there on a little stand on my transmitter, so with a bit of luck I'll have time to take a glance at that while I'm flying this. But last time I flew with a camera that was powered by the battery that was being used to power the motor, and I was getting interference very short distance. I should be able to get to the line of those trees. So today I'm going to try this little tiny one that I've had over 200 yards with, but powered by its own internal LiPo. We'll see if that makes a difference. Wish me luck with that. Wish me luck with the wind as well. So that's not good really, because hell, it's windy. Looking at the screen for a second to see if I've got a signal when it's windy is a bit dodgy. Oh, there's a lull. Okay, wish me luck. Well, it's being thrown around a bit up there, and I'm getting breakup on the signal, so that's a waste of time. Yeah, I'm getting a load of breakup, and in theory I should be able to get to that line of trees. Having said that, the Lidl is flying well at the moment despite this strong wind, because I've given it a bit more down thrust and it's behaving very nicely now. It was climbing like crazy when you gave it some throttle, but in fact it's pretty good now. Still getting breakup, and I'm only that far away. I'm actually almost getting a signal there now. Anyway, there you go. Another fail. This is only a 25 milliwatt transmitter, analog transmitter, which is UK legal limit. But on the level ground I actually get a good 200 yards with this, which is equivalent to beyond the line of those trees. So it's weird that I'm getting so much interference when it's in the air. Right, so what is the problem? Well, it seems to me it may be because the camera is still very close to the speed controller, and maybe, as I said, I'm still getting RF interference from the speed controller, which may be interfering with the camera or the transmitter. So what's the solution? I came up with the idea of relocating the camera, the battery and the transmitter as far away as I could possibly get it from the speed controller, just like this. So I headed up to the local sports field to give it another test, and this time with the motor running. That's the plan. Tethered the plane up so that it couldn't go anywhere, opened the throttle, half chat, and connected the small 350 milliamp 2S to the camera and transmitter on the top. So I plugged in the power source, I'm looking at the monitor, and there's a smell of burning. Don't you just love that smell of burning with radio controlled planes? So check this out. That's what the smell of burning was. The camera needs a 5-volt power supply, whereas the transmitter will take anything between 7 and 24 volts. So I fitted a 5-volt BEC here to power the camera. And obviously, current draw somewhere was way too much for that. Hence, I'm not even sure now if I've blown up this camera, which wasn't cheap, or whether I've totally destroyed the transmitter. So the next step was to see if there was anything salvageable in this mess, whether I'd actually destroyed the camera as well as that chip. And to cut a long story short, rewired it all, but using a tougher chip with a big heatsink on it, no video signal, took it all apart, tested the camera on its own by plugging into my PC through an adapter I've got, and the camera was indeed dead. So basically test number 3 didn't even happen. But don't worry, Mr. Mannering, I've thought of some very good alternatives. First choice is this Firefly combo. I think it was another freebie they sent me. It came as a camera and the transmitter, so we know that it's compatible. That can sit on there like that, well away from the power battery, which incidentally is going to have to go further forward to balance these alternatives. Power is a 1000 milliamp 2S, or I can use this transmitter mounted here, and either this little Firefly Micro 2, which gives very good results, and I think was another freebie from Hawkeye Firefly in the good old days when they used to send me stuff for review. That can sit here, goes that way up. I made up this lead that will either go to that camera or the Firefly Q6, a good 1080 camera with EIS. That can sit there too. So I've got the choice of 3 alternatives. The lead I made up here will plug into either of those cameras, and again, battery can sit in the middle. And the advantage of the latter 2 cameras here is they will both record to SD card as well as giving an FPV signal, whereas this one of course is just a camera and transmitter, although the advantage of this is it's actually lighter than these combinations. Getting back to the question of the leads, I found some very useful information online on RF interference from Oscar Lang, and have taken some advice from that, and I've tried to shorten some of the leads, and I've twisted them and tidied them, which apparently helps reduce interference. And I've added some of these little ferrite coils on the power inputs. I've also tidied the area in here so that the speed controller leads are all more compact and in a small space. All of this should help. Anyway, I've been up to the sports centre with these new combinations, and with the motor running at half chat, I've seen some great improvements. I've made over 200 yards, even 250 yards with these combinations, and no interference whatsoever, no breakup. And on Google Earth here, my yellow line is 250 yards, and in my previous tests I've not even been making the line of trees at 100 yards. So reasonably confident, almost happy that I might get some results this time, but who can say? You could say, why don't you give up, Bob, and spend £200, £300 on DJI or Walk Snail or whatever it is, which is all digital nowadays. But I've got all this stuff kicking around, so I thought try and use it. So that is the end of this episode of this long-running saga. If you've learnt anything from it, or even enjoyed it, why not give it a like down there somewhere? And if you've not subscribed and you want to see what happens next in this long-running tale, why not hit subscribe? But that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I will catch you again soon, but with some better results. Bye for now.